Hello, I'm Linda Lee Jolly, Director of the Troy Hayner Cultural Center. On behalf of the Board of Governors, the Levy Committee, and the many volunteers and patrons of the Hayner Center, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to consider how important the Hayner Center is to our community. Let's take a minute to think about the times and reasons why you and your family have visited the Troy Hayner Cultural Center over the years. Have you come for a concert or an exhibit? Have you attended a class or a seminar? Does your community group meet here? Have you, your children or grandchildren participated in family days or holiday open house? Have you or someone you know performed at the Hayner or had their artwork on display? Has someone you know or loved celebrated one of life's milestones in this beautiful building? Have you seen something you've never seen before? Have you volunteered? This community center is the result of the forward thinking of one notable Troy citizen and hundreds of volunteer citizens such as yourselves who have carried the vision forward. Literally thousands of people are taking advantage of opportunities at the Troy Hayner Cultural Center and its programs every year. If we average the number, we are presently serving 134 people a day, every day. The citizens of Troy have made a declaration to preserve the Hayner Mansion as a cultural resource for the present and as an historical legacy for future generations of the Troy community. The citizens of Troy voted this plan into action with the passing of a .4 mill levy in 1975 and have endorsed this plan with the approval of subsequent levies 6 times since. Using the broadest definition of culture, programs and activities have been generated over the years with input from the public and hundreds of volunteer hours. All of these efforts are aimed at developing community and a sense of place, strengthening families and nurturing children, creating a path for lifelong learning, fostering individual creativity, preserving our local history, supporting community efforts, and promoting volunteerism, and maintaining a gift that everyone in our community can enjoy on some level. This is the vision. We can only guess why in 1942 Mrs. Hayner left her home to the community in care of the school board, but we know 2 things. First, we know that Mrs. Hayner was a member of the Alturian Club, which started a library for Troy, but it did not have a building. She built this house with its large rooms and wide staircases a year after her husband died, and her children were grown. Don't you think this is a large house for one woman? We also know that in and before 1942, school systems played a central role in community life. School buildings had grand auditoriums and were the usual gathering place. It was not an uncommon arrangement. To this day, there are still public libraries in our county with separate levies for which school systems have oversight. So let's talk about governance. What is the relationship between the Hayner Center and the Troy schools? Hayner is run separately by a volunteer board of governors with a school board representative, and, like the libraries, the school system provides oversight for the public funds, a service for which they are compensated. Hayner money is school money voted separately and held in a separate accounting line. It cannot be used for the public schools mandates, and though the building is school property, school funds beyond the Hayner levy have never been used to maintain it. This was the 1975 agreement, and it has been working for 35 years. As the Hayner Center developed, Troy citizens serving on volunteer committees have made all of the decisions about how the Hayner would look and the activities that would take place there. We do collaborate. The Troy Hayner Cultural Center does collaborate with the schools as well as many other community organizations. This includes providing in-school performing arts programs where we can reach many more children with our limited programming dollars, and by holding the annual student art exhibit, which provides an intergenerational public audience for our young people's creative expression. Students are invited to Hayner for exhibit-related educational opportunities. The Hayner also provides some of the concerts for the Downtown Summer Music Series, the Chalk on the Walk event at Main Street's Taste of Troy, Art in the Park with the City Recreation Department, and several other outreach events. This is a treasured landmark. In 1975, the need for a new library building was evident, but the citizens of Troy, who loved having public access to this beautiful building, were determined to keep it. From the beginning, the cost of restoring and maintaining an historic building was an issue. After weighing several options, the superintendent of schools and the president of the Troy Historical Society formed a volunteer committee that canvassed the citizens and formed a proposal for the creation of the Troy Hayner Cultural Center. From the earliest years, volunteers have contributed their time and resources to restore the Hayner Center to the ambiance of a bygone era. The Hayner Center, with its fine furnishings and public artworks, is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. In 2008, the Hayner Center was presented with the Dayton History Preservation Award. Hayner was cited as one of the features that made Troy an Ohio Magazine Best Hometown. When you want to show your out-of-town guests why Troy is such a great place to live, where do you take them? It is the love of the landmark that motivated the Friends of Hayner and a volunteer committee to expand the property and create the beautiful landscaping and exterior lighting that sets it apart. What about diversifying funds? Board members have always been conscious of the tax levy and have worked to diversify funds and raise funds from other sources to keep the levy as low as possible. The current rate of 0.65 mil was first voted in 15 years ago, and with a replacement in 2000, the Hayner Center has operated on the same tax dollars for the past 10 years. And look how much participation and programming have grown during that time. With public funding, however, there is always the question of how much more do you ask citizens to pay when they are already paying once with their tax dollars? The challenge has been to keep the historically significant structure intact while at the same time ensuring that it is comfortable and well equipped for modern use. This includes, among other things, adding and maintaining handicapped accessibility, renovating the art studio, replacing the roof, and adding lots of electricity. In 2007, the Board of Governors began the daunting task of replacing the 50-year-old ventilation, heating, and air conditioning system. This project was finally completed against the backdrop of a straining economy in the summer of 2010. A large percentage of these projects and others were completed with donated money, an endorsement by a caring community that the Hayner is worth saving. A membership organization, Friends of Hayner, was established in 1994. Trojans who have a particular interest in the programming and preservation of the Hayner can and do lend additional support. Friends also provides a way for non-resident participants to offer their support. This organization provides additional funds for the present and is planning for Hayner's future. But just like the rest of us, their efforts are hampered by the economic downturn we are experiencing. And who can calculate the dollars saved by the many hours of volunteer service contributed every year? Fees are charged for some use. Class fees pay for instructors and supplies. Building fees for private parties and closed hours use are collected. Dinners are paid for by the guests that enjoy them. Money is also derived from the sale of artwork, books, and recordings. These efforts have all helped to stretch tax dollars. The chart does not reflect projects that have been paid directly by Friends of Hayner or other in-kind gifts such as equipment or furnishings. Without full funding, however, fee structuring may need to change and hard decisions will need to be made. The levy is about operating costs. It is the tax levy that provides 86% of Hayner's operating and maintenance budget every year. Routine building maintenance, operating expenses, programming, and administrative costs all come from Hayner's one levy. The 0.65 mil replacement levy that will be on the ballot August 2nd, 2011 is absolutely essential to the survival of the Hayner. The 0.2 mil requested increase will enable us to continue operating as we do today. It should also be noted that changes in Ohio state tax laws have devalued the money raised locally with the 0.65 mil levy. Without the 0.2 mil increase, we already know that unless we make serious changes or reduce services, we will be operating at a deficit within 2 years. For now, we're living the dream. The mission to preserve and maintain the Hayner Mansion as a cultural resource for the present and as a historical legacy for future generations in Troy is being carried out every day. Today, most events are filled. Several, such as the Valentine dinner and show and Mrs. Hayner's birthday tea, have been doubled to accommodate more people. 1 week of summer art day camp has turned into 3 with a lottery registration. We receive daily confirmation from the visitors and participants that the Hayner Center is fulfilling the mission as a cultural resource for the present. But as growth and expenses continue to climb, the future is up to you. Current funding for the Hayner Center ends December 2011. Without renewed support, the Hayner Center will cease to exist. The first public event at the Troy Hayner Cultural Center was the Holiday Open House in 1976. Can it be possible that the Holiday Open House in December 2011 will be the last event? Everyone is looking forward to economic recovery. And for us, the question is, what do we want our community to look like then? Is it possible to hang on to something that is uniquely Troy? Something we have valued and worked so hard for so long to build? Something that is used and enjoyed by so many of our citizens. Preserving and maintaining the Hayner Mansion as a cultural resource for future generations, or even for ourselves in the years ahead, is dependent upon the citizens who have a sincere concern for the quality of life in Troy and a willingness to act on that concern. I believe that Mrs. Hayner was just such a person. I believe she had a vision and gave us a wonderful gift. Over the years, I have watched many others add their contributions and visions to the Hayner until it has become the lively center of community activity that it is today. It is a treasure that is totally accessible to every citizen in our community. It is a vibrant symbol of a community that cares. We need to be sure that all of our friends and neighbors know about the opportunities available to them, how the Troy Hayner Cultural Center came to be, and how important their vote is on August 2nd. The future is up to us. In 2014, the Hayner Mansion will be 100 years old. Will we be celebrating or just remembering?